Joining me now is a World Series of Fighting featherweight fighter who makes his debut against Bruce Boyington at World Series of Fighting 34 in New York City on New Year's Eve, December 31st. He is the former Titan FC champion, Andre "The Bull" Harrison. Andre, how's it going?
It's going great, man. It's going good.
Awesome. Really appreciate you taking the time. First off, a lot of people have been saying right now that you deserve the UFC call. Put him on the Albany card. Put him on this card. Put him on that card. After leaving Titan FC not too long ago, did you get in touch with World Series solely because they had the New Year's Eve coming up in New York City, where in New York State where you were born? Is that basically the only reason you wanted to be a part of World Series?
No. I know it's a great organization, and they have they put on, I believe, like between 10 and 12 shows a year. So I know keeping active wouldn't be an issue, and they pay well too. So it just made sense for me at that point in time. I didn't want to continue waiting for the UFC and it take longer than needed to if I can make the same amount of money or better fighting for the World Series of Fighting.
Was the negotiation process with World Series of Fighting pretty smooth?
Oh yeah, it was smooth as ever. I mean, Sugar Ray Sefo, he used to fight himself, so I think he understands it, both from a fighter's perspective and, in a promotion perspective as well. So to me, it just felt good. It felt right. And so, that's the direction we chose to go with.
Nice. And was World Series, after your Ring of Combat fight with Julian Lane fell out not too long ago, was World Series the only organization you reached out to and started talking to, or were there a few other options?
Well, we reached out to a couple places, but and everybody kicked back what their offers were, and everything just made more sense just to go to the World Series. So it was pretty much like a no-brainer, And I know a couple of people in World Series too. I'm good friends with David Branch, and a couple other guys there. So Jason High, Marlon Moraes, and so it just felt like a good fit. They all had great things to say about the promotion as well.
Who were some of the other organizations that you were talking to?
Bellator, One FC. Oh man, now that I'm trying to think about it, it's like I'm having a brain fart. But it was a few of them.
Nice. And ultimately, Bellator just not on par with World Series offer, and same with One Championship?
Yeah, I mean, nothing but good things to say about Bellator, too. I don't want to, make do with them, but I know they kicked out a lot of money also, signing guys, and, they weren't ready to really have anybody on any cards coming up probably until 2017, and I'm a guy that likes to compete. I don't want to just be put on the shelf just to wait around. So me being able to fight, relatively often means something to me. So it just wasn't a good fit. I don't believe at the time. Maybe later on down the road, never know what can happen. But for right now, I'm happy with what I'm seeing from World Series.
Did you sign a one-fight deal or a multi-fight deal with World Series?
Multi.
Okay, so have you been guaranteed, because I know you already mentioned a few times that you really want to keep active and things like that. Have you been guaranteed, say, 3 fights a year or however many fights you want? Have you been guaranteed a certain number?
It's more like a time frame kind of thing, I believe. I think I'll fight every 5 months or so, 4 to 5 months at worst, so that's good.
Yes, that's definitely not too bad at all. Is the plan to stick with World Series for as long as it really holds up, as long as the relationship between you guys are good? Is the plan to stay with World Series for quite a while? For who it's hard to say, right? But you're not really worried about the UFC, I imagine. Is that the plan, to stick with World Series?
Yeah. I mean, again, it seems like a good fit. I'm looking to build a relationship with them, so Yeah, definitely. That's my plan right now.
Nice. And World Series, they have had a little bit of controversy surrounding them, to say the least, just in the past few months and whatnot. They actually have to let go a few people from their PR department, a few other areas of their company. Their reports say that there's a few lawsuits against them. I don't know how big of a deal that is, but still nothing good. And they also canceled 2 cards. And I know, of course, the Race FO went on Ariel Helwani's show and said, oh, this is to beef up the New York card. But you could also look at it the other way and say, maybe they are struggling. I don't know, but it's just a possibility. Are you worried about any of this?
No, I'm not worried about that. Again, that was before I got here, and, I don't really know too much about that situation. I just know I'm fighting New Year's Eve, and, that's all I'm pretty much focused on right now. I'm not focused on cards that were canceled, prior to me even being with the organization.
With the fight being on New Year's Eve, I imagine you're going to go out and party a little bit after you get after the fight?
Yeah, definitely. I got a lot of friends and family here that's going to be there at the fight. We're going to probably hang out a little. Probably won't hang out in the city. There's some crazy people out there, be drinking and everything, but definitely going to hang out and, enjoy the night.
And how awesome will it be to finally fight in New York, of course? The ban was just lifted earlier this year. UFC's put on 1 card, a few other organizations as well. World Series making their highly anticipated debut in New York. How pumped are you for this?
I'm very excited. I'm doing every and anything I can do in my training camp to make sure that, you guys get the best version of Andre that you've seen so far. So, I'm very, very excited. I can't wait to go out there and fight in front of all my friends, family, fans, everybody.
All right, and after being the Titan FC featherweight champion for over a year, you of course captured the title last summer. So it's been about almost a year and a half. You were on Fight Pass, which ultimately Titan FC, one of the bigger organizations, on par, I would say, with World Series, very similar. Is it weird, or when you had the Ring of Combat fight with Julian Lane booked still before that was scrapped, was it weird at all going back to a bit more of a local show in Ring of Combat compared to Titan?
No, not at all. I don't ever really look at the size of a venue because I believe, honestly, all those things can change, You be in any fight show and, the UFC, one of the biggest promotions out, if not the biggest promotion out, they throw, fight nights during the week on a Tuesday or Wednesday night where barely anybody, where it's not even advertised or anything like that. And those aren't, humongous cards or anything like that. And so, I don't really pay too much attention to the size of the venue. I just, focus more on my opponent and myself and my fight, making sure that I go out and implement my game plan to the best way I can.
Do you know where on the card World Series fighting that's coming up in December? What will you be on the main card or prelims? Do you know yet?
I believe I'm fighting early on.
Okay.
After early on, yeah.
Right. I'm not surprised because I know their main card is full of title fights, and I know this, of course, isn't. Kind of leading into my next question: is it weird at all after being on top of the card or co-main event in Titan for quite some time, 5 rounders, title on the line for a few? Of course, you defended the title quite a number of times as well. Is it going to be strange at all to be fighting a 3-round fight, no title on the line, on the prelim card? Maybe just not, the card isn't surrounding you, and usually the Titan cards were, for the most part. Is that strange to you at all?
No, when I was in Titan, I was a champ, so, that's, the title fights usually go towards the end of the bout. Now I'm working my way back up in a completely different organization, so, I know that and I respect it. It wouldn't matter to me if I was the first fight, man. I'm real simple, man. They tell me my opponent, I train to beat them, and then I go out there and try my best to get the job done. So doesn't matter if I was the first fight or the 10th fight. For me, I just want to get out there and get the job done.
Yeah, you seem like a guy who doesn't let the spotlight get to you at all.
No, I don't really let anything get to me. Honestly, I I can care less about a lot of different things. As long as my opponent shows up and he's ready to go, I'm ready to go. That's it. I actually prefer to fight earlier and get it done. I don't really like sitting there waiting around, for my fight. I'd rather get it done early.
And although it is an earlier card than usual, at least it's kind of nice as well fighting early, because then you have a lot of time to enjoy your New Year's Eve as well.
Yeah, and I can sit back. I can watch all my friends fight. I can watch, Marlon Maria's fight. I could watch, Dave Branch. He's fighting. I could watch him go at it. It's cool. When you fight towards the end, you don't really have that luxury because you got to stay focused and be warmed up and ready to go, and can't really let the distractions of a friend possibly losing or whatever, or the pressure of him winning. Now you got to go out there and make sure you win. You don't, that doesn't affect me because I already did what I needed. I already did what I needed to do.
Right. And what are your thoughts on the World Series featherweight champion, Lance the Party Palmer? Are you going to look for a fight and eye a fight with him? Maybe call him out in your post-fight interview after, should you get the win? Is that a fight you want right away or not so much?
I had a lot of people actually message me about that on Twitter, asking me my thoughts and opinions on him. And he's definitely a tough dude, solid dude, all-around tough game and everything. But I try not to even think about anybody else when I'm training for somebody, only because when I was wrestling and whenever I did that, it wouldn't be a good outcome. I need to solely focus 110% on Bruce Boynton. I'm not fighting Lance Palmer now, so I don't need to really worry about him. After the fight, then I'll give it some thought and see, when and where or how we should go about, promoting a fight like that, or, if it should even come. But until I go out there with Bruce Boynton, I don't even let my mind float in that direction.
Fair enough. Speaking of Bruce Boynton, what do you know about him as an opponent, as a fighter, and how do you think you match up against him?
I think he has some crafty kicks, crafty stand-up and stuff, and, bigger guy, I believe he fought at 155, so he's going to be coming down. He's tough dude, man. He's had a lot of fights. He fought a lot of fights out in New England. I know a lot of those guys out there, so, I think it'll be a good, exciting fight, I think I have a great skill set that matches up with his, so definitely give the fans something they want to see.
Now, moving sort of to the past, and I do want to touch on Titan FC. Why did you actually leave? We don't see champions get up and leave too often. Usually when guys are no longer with the company, it's of course because they got released, they're on a losing skid or whatever. You're on a winning streak, you're the champion, you're at the top of the division, and you get up and leave and end up signing with World Series. Simple question, why did you leave Titan FC?
Well, no particular reason. Originally when we got the notion that Ring of Combat was having a fight, and I didn't have anything booked up, and a lot of fans were asking me about fighting locally. I thought it would be cool to give the local fans a show or something they can get to and see, and I thought the opponent was great. He's an exciting fighter too, so I thought it really would have panned out to give the fans a good solid show and build not just my own but both of our followings up. But afterwards, I was in a negotiation process, and we were taking offers and deals from other places, and when that fight didn't happen, and we got offers back, and the numbers are in front of you. Right now I fight for money, so whoever's going to give me the better paydays, that's who I'm going to go with. So there wasn't no harm, no foul on any behalf or anything. I'm actually going to watch the Titan show coming up here soon. I got a couple guys, Kurt Hollabaugh, I'm still really, really close friends with. I'm going to watch him. I'm going to watch Jason Jackson fight. A couple guys, Des Green, I'm going to watch his fight. So, there's no harm, no foul against them.
Okay. And Titan FC, I imagine you can clarify with me, they were interested in you and getting you another fight, but then their numbers, their deal, their offer just wasn't as good as World Series. Is that kind of how it played out?
not entirely too sure. Like, I don't recall them telling. They didn't have like another opponent or a matchup in line for me, and so it wasn't like they had something lined up, and I was like, no, I'm gonna go do this.
Okay.
It was no offer on the table, so I was like, all right. Like I said, I like to be active, so when I had a big break, I was like, all right, let me take a Ring of Combat fight. Local promotion is cool, and that was that.
Right, fair enough. It sounds like you're on good terms with Titan FC. What was their reaction to you taking the Ring of Combat fight and now, of course, signing with WSOF?
They didn't have a bad reaction. They just they were cool with me taking the Ring of Combat fight, and then when it didn't pan out, and we spoke about my additional move, they were all game for it. They know at the end of the day, I'm a father, I have a child, so whatever is gonna help me best support myself and my daughter is the best move and the move that I need to make. So they were on board with it. It wasn't any hurt feelings or anything like that.
All right, I think my last question for you, Andre, is you got the fight coming up December 31st, New Year's Eve. Your opponent, Bruce Boyington. How do you defeat him on December 31st?
You mean my pre-fight prediction?
Yes.
I'm going second round TKO.
Nice. Any reason why second round?
For whatever reason, man, sometimes I'm a slow starter. So, I would like to do it in the first, but, if it doesn't get done there, then I'm definitely going to pick it up in the second round, guaranteed.
Awesome. Well, Andre, really appreciate you taking time this evening. If there's anyone you'd like to thank or give a shout out to, and also remind my audience where they can check you out on social media, now's your time.
We would like to thank Belmore Kickboxing, Joe Scarola Jiu-Jitsu, Keith Trimble, my workout partners Nick Fiore, Cody Payne, Greg Gillespie, Randy Brown, who's fighting December 9th. I'd like to thank Battle Squad Management, Matt Cully. I'd like to thank Ray Seffo, World Series of Fighting, and everybody, and just all my friends and family, man. You guys can check me out on Instagram at Dre the Bull, MMA 145, and on Twitter and Facebook at Dre the Bull.